Christy Harkin in Toronto, a very snowy Toronto, I'll add, and managing editor of Market Spread Count in Austin. Welcome, Christy and Brad. Happy holidays. Oh, very festive. Jeez.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I should have worn red. I missed that memo. All right. Well, let's start with the markets. We're seeing a lot of green in the markets, Brad. Well, you know, Bitcoin moving slightly up, still within a narrow trading range, low volatility out there. Are we due for a breakout or more of the same?
You know, we've been talking about this just on our kind of morning markets team meetings. I mean, it's up a little bit, it's down a little bit this week, but there's nothing that's changing. You know, the story, the narrative, we're right here kind of in the $16,000 to $17,000 range in Bitcoin. And, it's been I was going to say a long year, but it's always the same length year. We sort of figured that out in our discussions today. But it's been an exhausting and painful year, for everybody in this industry and crypto traders nursing losses. There's all these companies that are just not doing very well, and people have lost a ton of money, and so it's Glenn Williams, our analyst, was just writing this morning that the market volumes are really falling off a cliff here in this kind of last couple days before the Christmas weekend, and then next week probably likely to also be pretty slow.
And yet we had a chart this week showing that whales might be starting to accumulate BTC, and so that is a slightly bullish sign.
Yeah, people are really, again, it's sort of, here we are at the end of the year, and it just seems like the market has just been, really bad, down all year, and now it's just kind of lost all momentum. And so, people are looking for anything that seems like a little spark or a green shoot or, something that might get people excited. So this was something that Omkar Godbole, one of our senior market reporter, noticed earlier today, some of the data showing that some of the larger whales are possibly starting to accumulate. So that could potentially put some support under the market.
We also have the CoinDesk market index sector rotation analysis that shows that crypto traders in general are moving to more defensive positions, preferring larger cryptocurrencies like BTC and ETH.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of interesting. I mean, this is something that we had not seen as recently a couple of weeks ago, people looking at the Bitcoin dominance ratio and noting that a lot of times when we have a big sell-off, like we did in November with the FTX collapse, that, people kind of go into, what for crypto are the safe haven assets of Bitcoin. And I guess Ethereum is number two, gets, sort of sneaks into that category. But yeah, I mean, the past couple of weeks, it does seem like people are moving into, more of those cryptocurrencies perceived as safest, which in this case really just happen to be the largest.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, it was also a big week for FTX, and particularly Sam Bankman-Fried. He was denied bail last week. He appeared on Monday. The court was confused. Judge said it was a waste of time. He apparently wanted to be extradited to the United States to waive his right to contest U.S. extradition. But his Bahamian lawyer wasn't apprised of the situation, and so the session was adjourned, and then they reappeared on Wednesday, and again Sam Bankman-Fried came before the court asking to waive his right to contest U.S. extradition. Immediately he was on board a flight from the Bahamas to Manhattan. By Thursday, a hearing happened where he was granted a $250 million bail bond, and by Friday, right today, he's home with his parents in Palo Alto, California, and his next court date is January 3rd. So another big development in the FTX case, as well as former CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, and co-founder of FTX, Gary Wang, have pled guilty to federal fraud charges. And so it looks like they are cooperating with investigators, and they will be key witnesses in the case against Sam Bankman-Fried. Meanwhile, Quadriga CX. Let's visit Canada for a second here. So a bit of background, Quadriga CX was the biggest crypto exchange in Canada. It was revealed to be basically a Ponzi scheme run by then CEO Gerald Cotton, who died under mysterious circumstances in India. And back in February of 2019, Ernst & Young revealed it had accidentally sent over 100 Bitcoin to what is described as Quadriga's cold wallets that were only accessible to Gerald Cotton and which they could not access. And now these coins are moving, Christy. What is going on?
Yeah, this is the story that just keeps on giving, isn't it? We've got a lot of weird stuff going on with this Quadriga CX story. And I've been, I was one of the early users of Quadriga here in Canada. I used to use it all the time, in and out, and I actually knew Gerald a little bit, and so all of this was super shocking to those of us who used Quadriga. Well, most of us. There were rumblings, but most of us were super shocked when all of this happened. There have been documentaries, there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not Gerald is actually dead. So hence your air quotes, Christine, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the thing, for a little bit of background, is that when Gerald Cotton died, it was discovered that all of the access to his cold storage, any accounts, anything that was related to customer accounts, he took the keys of all of that to his grave, meaning nobody was able to move any funds. And apparently back in 2019, Ernst & Young accidentally transferred about 100 Bitcoins to what was assumed to be Quadriga's cold wallets. Now, cold storage wallets are not even online. They are, offline storage, super safe, super secure, can't be hacked into, meaning that whoever has the keys to those wallets must really be somehow super connected to his accounts. Of course, that's going to stir up all kinds of questions about whether or not he's actually dead again, or perhaps whether one of his close associates, I dare say people are going to, wonder if it was his wife. I don't want to speculate that is, because we do not know who is moving those funds. But of course, there's going to be all kinds of rumors and guesses out there. There was some speculation that maybe it was an inside job from Ernst & Young. That's been pretty much slapped down. So yeah, what does this mean? And where are those funds going? So some internet sleuths, some, Bitcoin sleuths, don't forget, Bitcoin is an open ledger. You can follow traceable. The trail. Yeah, you can read it, you can figure out where they're going, but what did we figure out? We figured out they were actually going to some various Wasabi wallet addresses, and Wasabi is an open source, zero knowledge, non-custodial wallet that uses coin joining by default over the privacy preserving Tor networks. So what we're looking at here is somebody who knows how to obfuscate the path of these Bitcoins. It's going to be super hard to find out where this money is going and who is taking it, where it's going to end up. It's using one of the most sophisticated privacy tools out there. Now, it's not perfect. Somebody might be able to, suss this out, but it's pretty tricky. So when you're coin joining, it's a process of taking multiple transaction inputs and combining them into one transaction. And it makes it really hard to figure out who owns the coins after the transaction, who owns which coin. Sometimes coin joining is conflated with coin mixing, which is often associated with a centralized custodial service that mixes coins. This isn't quite the same thing, but for all intents and purposes, putting aside the sort of the technical distinctions, it's a way of mixing coins in the way that one would commonly think of this sort of privacy technique. the thing you have to understand, though, is coin joining is fantastic for maintaining privacy when you're dealing with an open ledger like the Bitcoin blockchain. Having a degree of privacy for your financial history is a good thing. But of course, it can also be abused by people who are doing bad things. In this case, whoever is mysteriously moving around these quadriga coins.
The coins go onto off ramps, off rails with some sort of institution or whatever, where you have to cash it out. Maybe they wouldn't be stupid enough to do that, but
the thing is that the path is going to be so
KYC.
obfuscated. It's going to be so obfuscated by the time it gets there that it might be hard to figure out that these were actually the coins that came from the wallet. So it's not like they're just sending it from a wallet we recognize from an address we recognize to an address that's been KYC'd. There's going to be all kinds of, obfuscation along the way. And by the time we get there, we're not going to know where those coins came from.
Ava.